And welcome back to another preview episode of Banditland Boulevard. Trevor Hauer here, Tony LaMonica. We got Jake down there as well. A shot at redemption, I guess you could say, going into this week. Bandits at the Roughnecks. Bandits
Yes.
travel to the Saddledome, a place where it has been a house of horrors for the Bandits in that arena. I don't remember the last time off the top of my head, the last time they beat the Roughnecks in that building, but coming off a stinger last week, I guess we could say, 17-11 loss to the Roughnecks. They look to avenge that defeat and try to get their 10th win of the season, try not to get swept by the Roughnecks this year, and especially try not to get swept by the new Roughneck, Nick Rose. How are we feeling going into this one?
I'm feeling good. I mean, last week was a tough one for sure. It sucks even more that it's two straight losses at home, but that's not going to sit well very much with the Bandits. So I expect a much better game, top to bottom, offense, defense, and goaltending tomorrow night, especially with the new additions that you guys mentioned on the last episode. Very excited to watch their debut tomorrow. But overall, I don't think the loss last week, especially to Nick Rose, is sitting very well with Johnny Navarez and the rest of that Bandits locker room. So I'm feeling good, but then again, I always feel good. But especially after a loss, I feel even better about a Bandits win. So I'm feeling confident.
Yeah, you want to go in there going angry. You want to play pissed off. I would probably want to go gun-ho on Nick Rose, especially how well he performed in Buffalo. But the fact of the matter is, you got to know, now that you've seen what to expect, you know what the keys to succeed are, and that's what we're going to probably talk about this episode, is that who you have to shut down, who do you have to really improve on the position that you're in, and go into Calgary and, you know what, shut their crowd up. Because basically when I watched some of the replays of the game, and I've heard the Calgary's captain go, look, we got to shut this crowd up fast. And then that's exactly what they did, especially in the fourth quarter, and to put the game out of reach. So take what you can. You got what you see. So now you got to fix the mistakes and improve them on this game coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be as much of a blowout like it was last week. It really shouldn't have been. I mean, it really just came down to the Bandits playing a horrible fourth quarter was what put the game out of touch. Because I always go back to that third quarter. The Bandits were only down one going into the fourth, and when you're rooting for the Bandits, that's when they're in prime position to that's where you want them. You're only down by one going into the fourth quarter. Usually the Bandits, I would say 99% of the time, the Bandits come out on the winning end of those types of games where they're losing by one at the end of the third. They go into the fourth with 15 minutes to play, only down one. Those are the usual games where the Bandits win by 3 or 4 goals and win with these. Calgary just turned around and punched them right in the mouth. And it was led by players like Curtis Dixon, who we said, hey, you might want to watch this guy. Dane Doby was out. There's a possibility that he might be back this week. I think it's more likely than not that he's probably going to be back this week.
He's questionable this week.
Yeah, I say that he's playing. Matt Vince had a terrible game last Saturday night.
Yeah.
I guess he went on a little vacation to Disney World during the week and trying to get his mind off of some things, and hopefully he'll come back recharged and he'll come back rested, and you'll see the you'll see the Matt Vince from Toronto or from, I don't even know what I'm saying, from Saskatchewan a couple weeks ago, or you'll see the Matt Vince from the Rochester game where he's dominating and holding them to 6 goals. And then the next time Rochester came to Buffalo, it was 7 goals at that time. We've just been seeing too many games where Matt Vince has been letting a lot of stuff go through the 5-hole, which is very uncharacteristic. A lot of stuff over the shoulder. That's his trademark right there. You got to have a refreshed, recharged, rested Matt Vince. And I think he'll come into this week determined, but yeah, he's definitely one of my players to watch. Spoiler alert. But I mean, they got some guys coming back from injury. The Bandits got some guys from the trade deadline. I think it's going to be a lot closer than what it was last week. And truthfully, to tell you the truth, as of right now, 4.5 minutes into the show, I don't even have a score prediction for you. Or I don't even know who's going to win, to be honest, because I'm going into this game tomorrow pretty uneasy by the way that Calgary punched you in the mouth last week.
Yeah, I don't have a score prediction either, but I think Matt Vince is going to feel a lot more confident in his goal crease now with two new additions on the defensive end transition side and Ron John and Cal Matisse. So I'm sure he's feeling a lot. I'm sure he's feeling a lot more stable now that we've had a pretty banged up defense for a little while, and now we got some reinforcements that we desperately needed. So I think if you have a solid defense along the lines of Priolo, Dawson, Justin Martin, your young guys Cam Ware, Zach Belter, and Ron John and Cal Matisse. Cal Matisse can contribute on offense and defense, which is very nice. And also, this allows Ian McKay to now strictly focus on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, when we saw on defense, he was doing a little bit of both. Now with the reinforcements that we got, McKay can focus more so on the offensive side, which benefits our offense too. Now you have all of our centerpieces, our secondary guys, Ian McKay and Clay Scanlon, who all can do damage, which is always nice to see. So, yeah, I think I don't have an exact scoring prediction yet. I don't think it's going to be nearly as high as it was last Saturday. But you're feeling uneasy, but I'm feeling confident. It's just Bandits after a loss. That's just, to me, that screams win because I know that they're pissed off. I know they want to rewrite this wrong.
Basically, you got to go back to basics. You got to look at the last game that you saw. Like I stated before, find your mistakes, mend them, fix them, do what you got to do, and then come out and play 110% better than what you guys did before. We can name names, we can point fingers, but in realistics, it's all a team effort. And if every aspect of that game came down to one of the groups, offense, transition, defense, or goaltending, again, it was a basic team loss. You got to adapt to getting back to the winning ways. We have to find the right momentum and that push that we need to get the scoring back, and we got to get the defense back in check, and we got to get the goaltending protected, and most importantly, the transition where we need to work better on getting to the loose balls faster than the opponents do. So all in all, we can still keep discussing about this, but realistically, after coming off of a horrible loss like that, especially losing by 6, that we all predicted they were going to win by 6, I think it's best that the team gets back to reality. It's come down to where every game is going to matter pretty soon, going into the late of the season.
Yeah, and that loss showed everyone that the Bandits are human. I think if there's a benefit to that, it definitely humbled the Bandits a bit because, I mean, they needed a little bit of humbling. They have been pulling out games through the skin of their own teeth. They barely went into Saskatchewan. Goalie played out of his mind. Or Matt Vince, if he's off his game a little bit, I think the Bandits get absolutely smoked in that game because the offense went AWOL the first 3 quarters of that one, pulled a rabbit out of their hat in the 4th quarter and beat Saskatchewan on the road. San Diego, the offense was clicking, but the defense and goaltending absolutely was not in both games against those guys. I really have not seen a convincing Bandits victory. No, despite them being 9-2 at top of the league, I haven't seen a convincing win in probably over a month, I would think, for the Bandits' sake. So, and how often do you see, because last week the offense struggled, especially in the second half. Face-offs were a complete joke. Defense was bad, and the goaltending was terrible. How many games do you see in the NLL where you can be bad on offense, awful in the face-off dot, horrible on defense, and horrible in goaltending, and win? How many teams have done that? So looking back at it now, it really doesn't surprise me at all that the Bandits lost that game, and the fact that they lost it by 6. You can look at that game and you can look at yourself and say, I think the Bandits should have been down a lot more there in that 3rd quarter because you know how many posts Calgary hit in that game and how many loose balls they jumped on in that game. That was a complete team loss. I think the Bandits were lucky to be only down by 1 going into the 4th quarter of that one, and then the floodgates kind of opened. But I think this loss, if you're Johnny T, you use that loss as bulletin board material and say, you guys aren't superhumans. You guys are humans. Use that as bulletin board material. Humble yourselves a bit. You guys are top of the league. We get that. And, you're still the top dogs, but you got this team right behind you in Saskatchewan. And if you want to keep them back there, you have to win this game in Calgary. Whatever the game plan was last week, throw it in the trash because obviously that didn't work at all anywhere. I mean, the Bandits jumped out to a fast start, But how many times have you seen the Bandits go down 1 or 2-0 in a game and come back and win? A lot of times. 2 goals in the first quarter is nothing. So whatever the game plan was last week, throw it in the garbage, drop it down the garbage disposal, just destroy it, light it up on fire, burn it, do whatever you got to do. And come in with a new mentality. Come in, just like what Tony said in the beginning of the show, come in pissed off, come in angry. Use that as motivation too. You know, when you see Curtis Dixon when he has the ball in the offensive zone, someone lay a shoulder into him. Prove the fans at the Saddledome, oh, his 6 goals last week was cool. That's not going to happen this week. So you got to be more of a threat physically, and you got to show them that you're not afraid of them and that you're not going to lose back-to-back against them, especially with 66 in between the pipes.
Yeah, I mean, what do I always say, especially right now? The Bandits are back-to-back champions. So they've been the kings of the castle for the past 2 seasons. So every single game, and I believe Cal Buchanan said this in his post-game press conference, every single game for this season, you're going to get every team's best effort, because when you're the kings of the castle, everybody's coming to knock you down, right? So every single time, doesn't matter how far down in the standings they are, you're going to get every team's 100% best effort. So you can't afford to be taking any team lightly this late in the regular season. So come in pissed off, come in and play 60 minutes of Bandits across that you know that you can, because you know, just like last week, you're going to be getting Calgary's 100%. Their offense is going to be phenomenal. Justin Inacio is going to come with a purpose at the faceoff dot again. You know the competition that you're going up against, but then again, you also know how tough they are, and they're going to be coming for you again. So, got to come in, get a full 60-minute effort, play pissed off Bandits across. Like, we all know that they can, because they're not going to be. We've seen them last week, but they're not going to take us any lighter.
Yeah, you guys got the targets on your backs for a reason. Is because you're back-to-back champs. You got to go. Every game is going to be basically a proven me wrong type game. You know, we, as the Buffalo Bandits, are the 2-time defending champions in a row. We have the crown, and you're coming into our castle to fight the war. And right now, if you chip away at us and we can't seem to get to that point where we have that championship fever again, well, then it's back to the drawing board again. But until then, right now, you're sitting at 9-2. You're at the top of the league right now. You have faced adversity 11 times in a row, so far, and the 12th one coming up, it's going to be against Calgary, which is like a home and home type with the Seals. You got to go in there playing mad. You got to go in there playing like, why did we give these guys a shred of hope, especially in our house, and to make us look embarrassed, in front of our home crowd? You got to do that back to their crowd. You got to take their mindset off. They're like, oh yeah, well, we could beat the champs too. Regular season, yeah, might be important because of the games and trying to put yourself in the standings. But in the end, if you're not in the playoffs and you're not putting yourself into that picture where you have a possibility of winning another championship, then that win was meaningless. And right now, the Bandits are looking at themselves and goes, that game, okay, yeah, at home, it sucked. But is it meaningless? Yes, to them it is, because right now we're sitting on top. We're still in first place, and we're looking down at our opponents right now, still saying, you got to beat us now or you got to beat us in the playoffs. But right now, we're sitting pretty. So we're not worried about it. It's only another game. 2 losses out of 11 games, guys. Come on. That says it itself, how good this team is. And yeah, like Trevor said, we're only human. We're going to have a bad game here and there, but in the end, we're still the damn best team in the National Lacrosse League. So your other teams have got to prove it to us. We don't have to prove it to you.
What else should be motivation for the Bandits is, do you want this Calgary team to get red hot going into the playoffs? Because I think if they get hot, that's going to be a tough team to stop.
Scary for sure.
If you could extinguish this fire early in the second half of the season and kind of kick them back down the mountain, I think that it's open season on the rest of the league, that it's the Bandits in the rush to win this title this year. If you win this game, I mean, realistically, Calgary, if they go 7-7, they're not going to have home field likely at all, even though there is a huge drop off in the standings. Outside of the Bandits in the rush, there really is no dominant team in this league this year. Third, you have the Mammoth. You have the Mammoth in third at 7-5, and they're a mess on their roster sheet.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head who's in fourth right now.
Georgia.
I don't even know. The Georgia Swarm.
So it's a three-way tie for third right now with Colorado, Georgia, and Halifax. But right behind them are Calgary and Rochester. Those 5 teams all have 7 wins.
Wow.
Yeah, and Rochester, the Bandits have dismantled twice. Calgary, yeah, I think out of all those teams that you mentioned, Georgia doesn't look like the same team that they were last year.
Nope.
Halifax, I mean, come on.
They're old.
They
older.
are. I think they have to be the oldest team in the National Lacrosse League. I don't know if they have the endurance to win the title. If Calgary gets hot,
Colorado just lost Zed Williams to an Achilles, and Eli McLaughlin's now going to be a firefighter.
Yeah,
so that's a huge blow to their offense.
Yeah, that was what I was saying when their roster is a complete mess right now. I don't think they have the endurance or the depth to go all the way. You want to extinguish this fire, you got to beat the Roughnecks, because they would be a scary team if they start to get hot here in the second half of the season and start catching up into the standings. We want to eliminate as much competition as possible if we want to win this third straight title. And you already proved once that you could beat the Rush, even on the road. You beat them, and you have first place in the entire league. If you put the Roughnecks at 7-7, their chances of hosting any home playoff game drop drastically, because you got to go 11-7, and you might host a game. Honestly, 11 wins probably this year would get you easily a home field advantage, because you might see some teams that squeak into the playoffs with 8 or 9 wins this year. And that might be all you need to just barely get into the playoffs and make the dance. But if you want to stop any potential momentum and put a wet blanket on their plans, you got to beat them this week. And like Tony said before, you already know what this team is. They came in and they punched you in the mouth. They gave you a good preview of what they could be against you guys. And what else Johnny T could be using as bulletin board material is, hey, you guys only lost 2 games this year out of 11 games played. Guess what? Both of those games were at home. Get a little revenge on them and smoke them on the road in their house and see how they like it. Pay back the favor that they gave you. Give them a little payback. I think they can use that as momentum too. And the thing I really love about this Bandits team is, maybe outside of a couple times last year, losing back-to-back games really doesn't happen with this team. I mean, 2022, 2023, they always bounce back after a tough loss. Same with 2019 and a couple of the other championship runs that they won on. In 2016, they were very good at not losing and going on multiple game losing streaks. Last year was different for whatever reason. That was the first time they were ever at the top of the mountain and they were defending their title. And obviously they got hot at the end of the year last year, but it seemed like for the first half of the year that year, they really didn't know how to go about being at the very top of the mountain. They were always used to chasing it, but they didn't know what to do with it once they got it. This year they know. They absolutely know what it feels like to chase it and what it feels like to defend it. And I don't know if I can. I said last week, I don't see you losing this game, and they obviously lost by 6. I don't know how much of, how good this is going to do for the Bandits if I say, it doesn't feel like a loss this week to me, because they really don't lose back-to-back games, but you never know with this Calgary team. And I said in the beginning of the show, I couldn't give you a score prediction, because this team, the Roughnecks, have lost 6 games because their defense is very hot and cold. But when their offense is clicking, they have one of the best offenses in the league. So I'm going to have to keep thinking about this one. But you got bulletin board material. We know the players to watch for Calgary. I think we should jump into players to watch for Buffalo, because there were some very disappointing performances from this Bandits team last week, and they need to avenge their defeat from last week. Do I start with the obvious? There could be multiple obvious answers here. Offense, defense, goaltending, you name it. I'm going to go with the face-off guy, Connor Farrell. I mean, he's had back-to-back, not bad, awful weeks in the face-off dot. 8 for 20 against Saskatchewan and 11 for 32 against Calgary. That ain't going to cut it, bro. We need to have a much better week out of you, Connor Farrell. Dude, you got the size. You got the strength. Out-muscle this guy to the ball. And like what Tony mentioned on the post-game, stop looking at the referee to blow the whistle. Look at the ball and listen for the sound. Put your stick on it, win the face-off, muscle your guy out of the way. You don't need to look at the referee. Don't need to do that. That is just you're losing these face-offs by a matter of milliseconds. You moving your head over to the ball to put your stick on it to make sure it's in the right spot, that might be all the difference it makes for Calgary to win all those face-offs. And I know that I've been seeing it on his Instagram story. He's been working in the lab, like early in the mornings, working on his face-off game. So if there's anyone that's more motivated than Connor Farrell, I'd love to see who that might be.
Yeah,
Jake?
For sure. Definitely need a couple more. We definitely need a bounce back week for Connor Farrell for sure, because these last 2 games specifically have not been very Kyle Farrell-esque that we're used to. My 2 players to watch are going to be very basic, but I've been very excited this entire week because I can't wait to see how these guys fit into our roster, and that's none other than Ron John and Kyle Matisse. I can't wait to see how well they fit into our defensive game and our transition game. These reinforcements were so much needed after the Dylan Robinson injury and the Matt Spanger injury. I think both of these additions are going to be not only great for our defense, keep them a little bit more comfortable on their feet, but I think they should also make Matt Vince a little more comfortable in his goal crease for sure. So let's definitely take a look out for Ron John and Kyle Matisse in their highly anticipated Bandits debut tomorrow. I can't wait to watch it.
And for me, guys, I'm going to say this as always, is that I know I would like to say about the main scorers on the team. I'm sticking with the secondary scoring. We need them to step up again. We need them to step up big time. Because if Dane Smith, even though he had a 4-point night, 2 goal, 2 assists last game against Calgary, and Josh Byrne still having like a 5 or 6 point game against Calgary, you cannot rely on those guys all the time to do your scoring for you. So for the secondary to step up, that means even if you have to split it up like it looked like on the score sheet with Nanico getting 2, Kyle getting 2, Chase having 1, Ian having 1, and whatnot. I think this game here, to take a little bit more weight off the stardom of the Dane Smith, Josh Byrne show, I think everybody else needs to step up in their gaming. And I mean Clay Scanlon, Chris Cloutier. I can name the rest of the roster, but
Cloutier for sure.
For the
My
secondary
God.
to step up and go, wait, if God forbid they weren't even in the picture, let's just think that scenario. If Dane Smith and Josh Byrne weren't even there, who's going to be the next guy to lead? Who's going to want that ball? Who's going to want to score the next goal? Who wants to step up and be the next hero and the superstar for this Buffalo Bandits organization? Because sooner or later, and I hate to sound like this and talking futuristic about Dane Smith and Josh Byrne, they're not going to be here forever, okay, guys?
Right.
So it's for us to look at it, the roster, and say, look, who for the remaining part of this roster is going to step up and be like, I'm going to wear the A, or I'm going to wear the C. I'm going to do all the scoring. You guys don't have to worry about nothing but create plays. That's the mentality that this secondary has got to do right now to the end of the year. And I mean with playoffs and whatever. You got to bring that 150% mentality all the time. And it sucks because it's a burden. There's so much pressure. And even though you guys are in first place, but when you expect a loss like this, this tells you secondary needs to work together and score the majority of the goals. I'm not saying bad things about Dane Smith and Josh Byrne's talent. They've got a great talent and they show it every week. But I'm saying to take a little bit of weight off their shoulders and not expect them to do all the work. Secondary needs to step up big time.
I was going to say, Tony, I mean, secondary, I feel like last week, I feel like they did all that they could. Dane Smith scored that goal in the first quarter and said, I'm done. I'm done playing. I'm done. I'll pass it into the bench. I'll make terrible shots and I'll shoot it right at Nick Rose's chest for the rest of the game. That is what your team will look like, Tony. For a quick preview, that is what your team will look like without Dane Smith and Josh Byrne. They will score 11, 12 goals, but nothing really more than that. I'm the exact opposite, actually. I want to see more out of Dane Smith and Josh Byrne. They have not looked like Dane and Josh for the past 3 weeks. I mean, where's the I know this is a hard thing to do, and it's easier said than done, us being the fans, but where are the 10-point nights from Dane? Like where he'd score 3 and get 7 assists and get the 10 points. Where are the 10-point nights from Josh Byrne? Where have they been? I mean, they haven't looked like themselves in a while. You mentioned Chris Cloutier. I couldn't even tell you the last time that dude scored a goal. I don't even remember the last time Chris Cloutier scored a goal. And so, I mean,
been a while.
I need a Dane Smith and Josh Byrne game. I need them. It looked like that from the start last week. I'm like, oh, we got a quick goal from Dane. This one could get out of hand quickly. Just wait till Josh Byrne starts getting up on the score sheet. Maybe they'll each score a hat trick or whatever. They'll do their usual 10, 12 point kind of thing. No, I mean, they were just taking lackadaisical shots from the restraining line right at Nick Rose's chest and always hit him right in the logo. I need to see some better nights out of those two.
Yeah, definitely. There are two centerpieces. And in our opinion, like we've been discussing on the show, they haven't really looked like themselves over the past almost month now. Feels like it's been a long time since we really seen like a dominant performance from our two guys, Josh Byrne and Danny Smith. So
you need your stars to be your stars too.
They are overdue. So let's hope they're saving it for tomorrow and for the rest of the season. So would love it.
And what do we always tell about the every game too, boys? What do we have to do?
I see
what
that.
do we have to do? We cannot be in this. We cannot do this.
What does that say,
again.
Tony? Tony, what does that say?
Cannot be in the box.
For the audio, yeah, I was going to say for the,
Get out of the box,
listener.
Get out of the box, guys. Come on. The penalties, the dumb, stupid penalties, get them out of here. You guys got to maintain composure. Yes, you get frustrated on the field, and if things don't go your way, okay. But you've got to realize you have to be humble. You have to think before you react to things. And I get it, but it takes a split second to do so. So when you take the stupid penalties, you're only giving your opponents the opportunity to score multiple power play goals and getting themselves the lead that they need to beat you. Stay out of the box for once. I want to see a lopsided penalty minutes stat in their favor instead of our favor. Can we do that one game just so I know you hear me or you hear us or whatever other fans are telling you? Stop faltering to their egotistical ways and trying to get them to get you into the box rather than they get in the box. So, guys, if it's a bad call, let it go. If you get hit and it's not called, let it go. If it goes your way and they start seeing the calls come your way, take advantage of the special teams because that has to start getting improving.
Well, Tony,
Absolutely.
I mean, I think the penalty minutes might be down this week because isn't there a rumor going around that 23 might be getting suspended?
I don't know. I didn't hear a word that he was getting suspended unless it said on National Lacrosse League's page.
Let's say, well, we could talk all day long until the cows come home about how crappy the NLL website is.
My God.
Stay
out of the box, guys.
But yeah, I mean, we don't really have. I mean, we only have like Twitter sources because NLL doesn't post much of anything on their website.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was that rumor going around that Steve Priolo, I mean, he took a 10-minute misconduct with under a minute to go, and then there's some rule where it's like he could be getting a hearing or something. I don't know, but I was gonna say if that dude gets suspended, don't be surprised if the penalty minutes go down for the Bandits. Also, another thing about the BOX, when the Roughnecks take a penalty, special teams needs to be a lot better too. Mm-hmm. The Bandits went 0 for 2 on the power play last week, while Calgary went 3 for 6. The special teams all the way around, penalty kill, staying out of the box, of course, and the power play needs to be a lot better as well. You got all these weapons on the field. Johnny T likes to send out the 5 forwards for the power play. One of those 5, put the ball in the back of the net because we know that you guys can do it.
Yes, you can.
With the amount of options we have on offense, why wouldn't you send 5 forwards out on the power play? And I can't wrap my head around the fact that our power play has been, I don't want to say so bad, but it's not even close to being up to par as to what it should be.
It was the saving grace last year. That was the saving grace of the team last year.
With all the guys that you have on this offense and you send out all these forwards on the power play, it shouldn't be a gimme for like every single power play, but it really feels like with all the weapons that they have, every single time we get a power play, it should be a goal. So something's got to give here. This offense, these forwards are offensive weapons that we have. They're too good to not convert on the power play. So that has to improve. No questions about it.
I think the Bandits,
of course, all things made that Nick Rose, you got to shoot low on him. He doesn't go down as much as everybody else does. Like Hartley, he's like a butterfly goaltender. Vince is also a butterfly goaltender.
Dobson is a butterfly goaltender.
Yeah,
Dobson flops
Nick Rose
around like
just
a
seems
fish
like
out
he's
of
a
water.
stand-up guy. So
yep.
Go low to his feet, like we've been saying this before. The only way you're going to beat him is that, or do the one-timers. But make sure it's a one-pass, one-shot deal. Don't do these multiple passes where it's going to lead to a turnover and it goes the other way and they score like that.
Right. I mean, honestly, we kind of sound harsh criticizing them like this, but these are kind of just the ebbs and flows of a season. that are going on. The Bandits are starting to level out a bit. They started off the season 7-0. I don't think anyone really had them starting off the season 7-0. I mean, you got to find those 2 losses somewhere. The last team to only lose 2 games in a season was like the 2014 Edmonton Rush? I think it was something like that. And then obviously Toronto went 15-3 last year, and that's you see how far that got them. And I mean, I think the Bandits are just starting to level off a bit, and they built up a pretty good cushion for themselves, at least in a top 2 spot. So we got to give them credit where that's due. But I mean, right now we are so close to clinching playoffs already, which is absolutely nuts. Our motivation is just get that done, win these games that you should be winning on your schedule, especially the home games. Just like the way that they lost those 2 games, the fact that they were both at home, the fact that the first one came with a game-tying goal with less than 10 seconds to go. That frustration starts to build in the fan base, and it starts to build on the floor as well. And you were a quarter away from being still, or 2 quarters away from being undefeated in this league still, and being undefeated since last season. So, I mean, the Bandits know this Calgary team. They are starting to level off a bit, but I am happy that they are 9-2 and at the top of the league. We could be where we were last year. 6-6, 7-6, 7-7, wherever they were around this time last year.
Yeah, the good thing is that championships aren't won in February and March, and being undefeated in the regular season doesn't guarantee you anything in the National Lacrosse League. So
yeah, power rankings don't mean anything either.
Right. It's the dog. It feels like it's the dog days of mid to late February to March for the Bandits. So, like you said, Trev, they built up a great cushion. They're 9-2, best record in the league so far as winning percentage goes. So, there's kinks to be dealt with. I would rather deal with these kinks now, work them out, than by the time you get to April and then you get to the bright lights of mid-April and May. That's when you come to shine, or that's when your play starts to shine. And that's why the Bandits are who they are. They had a very rocky start last year, brought in some reinforcements, and they damn near ran the table. They sure ran the table in the postseason, that's for sure. And the year before that, they dealt with so much adversity that you couldn't even count. You could count on so many hands how many times they dealt with adversity in 2023 when they won their first championship in 15 years. So I'm so confident in this team. Yeah, he had a few rough skids. He had some tough wins, but they weren't convincing. You had a couple of tough losses, mixed in there. But at the end of the day, this is the Buffalo Bandits. We know what these guys can do. There's still a long season left, a lot of lacrosse left. I know that these guys can do it. I'm still very much confident in a phenomenal ending to this season. But a game against Calgary, a nice win against Calgary tomorrow, could really switch their dynamic, get some confidence back, and then come home next Friday against Vegas and build off of that. That's
and one of the I feel like
you win and build off of it.
And I really feel like one of the reasons why we're really harping on them to win this game right now is because if you win this game, you're going to carry a big W into lesser competition against teams that you should be beating. You could ride this season out into the sunset if you get a big win in the Saddledome for the first time since God knows when. You got Vegas and then Albany back to back. 2 teams that the Bandits they probably should win those. Later on down the schedule, you got Colorado on the road. I think that's probably the toughest game coming up at the end of the season. But you also go down to Duluth, Georgia. When was the last time the Bandits lost in that building? You go down there at the end of the year. Fan Appreciation Night is at home against the Halifax Thunderbirds. You guys know that you can beat them at home. You have you got Vancouver. Could that be a tougher game? I guess.
Sure.
Maybe.
They got Christian Del Bianco now. That'll be a tough one.
Yeah, but he hasn't played in a year and a half. So, he's going to have to go through some bad games. I think the Bandits will probably score a couple on him. But, point is, you got easier competition coming up down the road. If you get that 10th win, where realistically you probably need one more win to secure your spot into the dance, period, that's fine. You guys are playing with house money. I think when you guys started off 7-0, you guys were kind of playing with house money there. No one expected the Bandits to absolutely throttle Rochester in week 1 and their home opener, smoke them, because they got some fresh young talent on that team. No one expected the Bandits to throttle them. And then the Philadelphia Wings, who were second in the league at the time, put up freaking 19 on those guys. No one expected that. When they started off 7-0, damn near 8-0, 6 seconds away from being 8-0, the Bandits were playing with house money. And if they win this game against Calgary, I feel the same way. Realistically, all you need once you get that 10th win is probably one more win to at least make the playoffs. And then you can start, you're starting to play for bigger and better things. You're playing for the number 1 seed. You're playing for home field throughout the rest of the season. One step at a time. I think the Bandits have the best coach available at their disposal to guide them through these times, and to make sure that they're staying humble and that they're staying at their work ethic. I think Johnny T's got them pretty calm, cool, and collected behind the bench. But yeah, like Jake was saying earlier, I am so excited to see what Ron John and Kyle Matisse would do in Bandit uniforms, whether it's in Buffalo or on the road behind Johnny T as their head coach. I think that the sky's the limit for those two. And Steve Dietrich, he's always cooking up something, always is cooking up something. And when he sets himself to a plan, it usually works out in the best way for him.
Yeah, and on top of that, sooner than later, hopefully we'll be getting Dylan Robinson back. So getting Dylan Robinson back late in the season will almost be like another late trade deadline edition. I know that sounds very cliche, but still, we got Ron John and Kyle Matisse coming in to help shore up our transition defensive game. Then later on, you'll get Dylan Robinson back. So
yeah, and like you already got Taylor Dooley down there on the practice squad
practice
too.
Squad now. Yep. So he'll continue to get better down there. So I know that with what we were doing for the past few weeks, with all the injuries that we had on defense, I knew that this wasn't a full strength Bandits roster. So now you bring in a couple more reinforcements, then you'll get Dylan Robinson back sooner than later. It makes me so excited to see what's to come for the Bandits, because I knew that they weren't at full strength. I'm like, this isn't who the Bandits can actually truly be. This isn't them at their full strength. We'll get them at their full strength. Who knows the possibilities that could happen for this roster, come, April or May, should they have to make it that far. I really hope. But I think the sky's the limit with this Bandits team. And I've been saying that since last year after they got Farrell and Dawson. The sky's the limit. The sky was the limit last year. Sure enough, they ended up going back to back. Nothing's changed. The sky is still a limit for this roster.
And I am still holding out hope that maybe one day we will see that maybe a random Wednesday at like 1:00 p.m. on Twitter, the tweet come out that says Bryce Sweeting has been activated off the physically unable to perform list, and all of a sudden he comes back out of nowhere and plays for the Bandits, because he's still on the roster. He's still on the roster. Yep. The Bandits have made some moves in the past couple of years where it could just be like a random Tuesday afternoon. Oh, so-and-so comes back from injury. Cool. He's activated for this week. I remember that with Chris Kluche a couple of years ago. The Bandits are like tweeting out how they're so pumped to host Halifax that week for the beach night in Banditland. Oh, and by the way, Chris Kluche is coming back. He's activated. We're like, oh, sweet, cool. They like to drop Twitter nukes like that. So
I think Josh was activated in that same game too. I think they were both activated for that same game.
Yeah, so still kind of holding out some hope there that maybe he'll come back, and there's a reason why he's still on the roster. I don't think he's fully retired or anything. He's still on the team. So, but I think you're more likely to see Dylan Robinson come back and some of these other guys, Taylor Dooley, to be called up and called back down and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Kyle Matisse, an experienced veteran. Ron John, who has absolutely torched this team when he played in New York. Do you remember that? Every chance Ron John had, he somehow found his way against the Bandits. So it's going to be pretty cool seeing him do that to other teams. Dane Doby coming back for Calgary scares the hell out of me, honestly. We saw how good that team was without him. 17 goals without him, dude. But, these are the types of games where some players are going to be coming back from injury. I remember Toronto when we got absolutely torched by those guys in 2023. They were missing a couple of defense. I think they were missing Dan Dawson and someone else.
I think you're right.
And then they were healthy, came back to Banditland, and the Bandits beat them. So it would be so Buffalo Bandits for Dane Doby to come back and the Bandits hold them to under 10 goals. So you never really know what's going to happen. But Matt Vince this year, I don't know if holding teams under 10 goals is a real possibility anymore, but you never really know what kind of night he's going to get into. I think it's that time. We have to come up with our score predictions on the spot here.
I'll
If
start
anyone
it off.
else,
If
if
you guys
anyone
don't
else
mind.
wants to start, I'm still thinking of mine right now.
Yeah, I'll start it off.
I was thinking this whole time while you guys were talking. I
Me
really
too,
don't
and I
know.
kept it in the back of my mind. But Jake's got one.
Tony,
Okay.
did you want to start, bro? Or do you want me to start?
No, I'll let you guys go ahead.
Tony's still cooking.
Okay.
Tony's still
I
cooking up
can't
one.
right now.
All right.
I'm still cooking up one too.
So I don't think it's going to be nearly as high scoring as it was last Saturday, but I do think the Bandits need to come out convincing, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Well, both offense and defense, but both teams are going to score double digits. But I do have the Bandits winning by a final score of 13-10.
13-10. All right, cool.
Okay. You want me to go ahead, Trev?
Yeah, I'm still thinking of. I think I have the Bandits number. I don't know if
Right,
I have
Tony?
the Roughnecks number in my mind yet.
Oh God! You know this is creative. How well we knew last week's difference. 6. We all did 6.
all
Throw
did
our,
different
throw
I don't
our
know if I should go with
credibility out
3
the window.
without Jake did. That's just right there alone just got me like thinking. I was like, I don't know. But
I was gonna say, people that watch that episode for the first time are like, okay, throw these guys' credibility out the window with that prediction. So we never said we were good at this.
We never claimed.
no, but I mean, it was shocking that we were almost right again.
Yeah,
but
we never claimed to be good at predicting anything. We haven't predicted one correctly yet. I don't think in the history of the
well, we came close a couple times, and
Came
last
close.
week was it if the score was in our favor. But thinking of last game to coming into this game tomorrow, it's still nail biting for me to even say this. I don't even want to say we're going to lose. Honestly, I don't want to say that.
Tony.
I can't put myself in that position to say we're going to lose back to back. So I have faith, of course, and always in the orange and black.
Damn
But
right.
that being said, I'm going to say Bandits come back home with a W, and we're going to win 16-14. It's going to be a good scoring match.
All right. Well, I guess that comes down to me. Last time I predicted the Bandits to lose, funny enough, was the Ottawa game. So should I predict them to lose?
That's your call.
It's up to you. It's your prediction.
I mean, last time I predicted the Bandits to lose, they won by 11 fucking goals. So
then do it again.
Yeah, do it. Might as well, right?
Do I sacrifice myself and take one for the team?
You're not.
I was gonna say,
you're a little
honestly, I've had way better feelings going into Bandits games before. That loss last week kind of stunted everything. I've had the whole week build up to a game. You feel good about the Bandits the whole week, and they go out and they put on a great show. I had an overwhelmingly great feeling against the Saskatchewan Rush. They go out there and beat them. I don't have that same feeling if I'm being completely honest. I do pick the Bandits to win. I can see them winning 13-12 in OT.
That would be a good one.
Yikes.
That'd be very close, way too close to comfort. But hey, you know what? A win.
13-12 OT. Give the winner to Josh Byrne. Josh Byrne overtime.
Get his confidence.
I can accept that.
Find himself again.
So we all got the Bandits to win.
Yes, we do.
God, I should have picked the Roughnecks like 18-7. Maybe I can work some magic there.
We're gonna win tomorrow. I got a really good feeling about this game tomorrow.
Yeah, once you put your original score out there, you can't change it. It's like the Barstool. It's the Barstool pizza review. You can't change it.
I wrote it down. There you go, folks.
There you have it. It's in writing.
12 in overtime. So I mean, it is kind of realistic. You know, you got the 12. You know what this offense can do when they're fully capable of doing so. Matt Vince hasn't looked his greatest this year. 12 goals seems like a realistic option for him. Dane Dobie coming back, like I've said, and like we've seen in the past, when you see the Bandits face against the same team again and they get a key player back from injury, those are the games that the Bandits usually win and dominate in. So you never really know what to expect going into this one. I feel very uneasy. I don't feel great going into this one, guys, if I'm being completely real. I really don't. Like I mentioned before, I remember I didn't feel great going into game 3, maybe 5 days out of the 2023 championship.
I remember that.
And then I woke up that morning with this like overwhelming feeling of, oh my God, like we're going to win the championship. Like I just had this overwhelming feeling we're going to win. I don't have that going into this week, and
Mm.
that's scary. But I also had this same uneasy feeling when they traveled to Ottawa to play the Black Bears, who usually give us a big headache every time we play the Riptide / Black Bears. And
Yeah.
what did they do in that game? They absolutely killed them and beat them by 11 goals. So what the hell do I know?
It's for me, it's just the Bandits whenever the Bandits lose a game, it doesn't sit well with them because they hate to lose. So literally right after we lost to Calgary last Saturday, I said to my buddy Joel Tony, our buddy, mine and Trev's buddy Joel, who I was with at the game, I told him, all right, well, this just means we're going to kick Calgary's ass next weekend because they don't like to lose. And I know that they certainly don't they're not used to losing to Nick Rose of all players. So
No, they hate that.
I
That was the first time Nick Rose beat the Bandits in Banditland since December of 2018.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, in Buffalo. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yep.
in Buffalo.
That makes sense. But, this team just does not like to lose. And that gives me so much confidence that they're going to come back tomorrow with a nice win, and they're going to get double digits on the win total tomorrow night, and it's going to be back to business as usual for our boys in the orange and black.
What can you expect going into this
aggressive.
one?
That's all you can do.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's right.
And to play aggressive,
more aggressive than
you
your opponent. Win the little battles to win the war. So that's all you can do.
That's right. You got to play physical if you want to be aggressive.
100%.
And what can you expect going into this one? Back and forth. It's going to be one of those games. It's going to be Bandits in San Diego on the West Coast all over again. That's what I'm expecting going into this one. No lead is going to be safe. Calgary can jump off to an early 3-0 lead. The Bandits can pot in 4 in the second quarter, make it 4-3. We could be tied 5-5 at the end of the second quarter. I don't have the script or anything, but I can just totally see how this game's going to go. And it's going to be like that, where you're riding high when the Bandits get a 2-goal lead, and then you look up at the scoreboard and it's all of a sudden the game's tied, and you're like, where'd the lead go? It's going to be one of those games. So
yeah, this is going to be a close one. It's going to be a close one, and as we all know, lacrosse is a game of runs, so it's all about who gets that last run. So, and I know for a fact it's going to be the Bandits who get the most important run of the game. That's how confident I am. So, yeah, it's going to be a close one. We're going to see a lot of runs. We're going to see definitely a good amount of not runs, but we could definitely see a good amount of ties and lead changes tomorrow night. So, yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a close one for sure. But in the end, I think our boys are going to pull through.
Well, with Tony's prediction,
prove it to us, not to themselves. Prove it to us that you guys have it still.
Well, with Tony's prediction, you can easily think of multiple lead changes, 16-14. I think even with mine, the Bandits. Honestly, I have the Bandits going on a 1-goal run in the 5th quarter in that game. So
to win an OT.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there.
That's it.
But yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I know the Bandits hate losing to Nick Rose, and the Bandits versus Nick Rose on the road, they have a very, very, very good record as far as wins versus losses in that regard. But winless against Roughneck Nick Rose, which is still unbelievable to even think about. Picturing him on another team outside of Toronto is still absolutely nuts to me. I was convinced watching the game last week that was not Nick Rose. I'm like, that's somebody else wearing his jersey.
It's his stunt double. It's his better.
That's a stunt double. That's freaking that's Christian Del Bianco wearing a Nick Rose jersey. That was what it looked like. But yeah, it's gonna be a good game. But I think right now it's time to shout out the sponsors.
All right, guys. But Banditland Boulevard would like to thank our main sponsor, and that is Mitchell's Tavern, located at 734 Sheridan Drive up in Tonawanda, New York. Guys, if you haven't gone there yet, mention Banditland Boulevard. Trevor Hauer, myself, and Jake Hauer now on the Banditland Boulevard TV show to go down there, try their food. I'm telling you right now, the service is amazing. They will treat you like family, and the food is spectacular. Go down there. And also, mentioning about Mitchell's Tavern, April 1st, and this is not a joke. Josh Byrne will be there from 6:30 p.m. to 7:45 p.m. for autograph signings and to get to meet him. The first autograph is still free. We're still waiting on details about any further autographs mentioned. It could cost you from $10 and above. So just to let you guys all know about that. Also, we'd like to thank Herney's Journeys. If you guys want to book your next big adventure for your next vacation, going on a cruise or any other type of vacation type, please contact Suzanne Pike at Suzanne Pike at HerniesJourneys.com. Let her book your next big adventure. Also, we'd like to thank those who are watching us live here on YouTube. Give us that like, subscribe, hit that notification bell for every time we talk about Buffalo Bandits lacrosse. And for those just listening in on every device known to man on Spotify, give us that 5-star rating and also comment. And if anybody wants to join the show, please message one of the three of us here. We do not stop talking about Buffalo Bandits lacrosse on either network that we are on.
That's right.
Be glad to have you guys. Yeah, definitely comment. Definitely, if you
Daniel, whenever you get a chance, get back on board, buddy. We know you had a shot.
Yeah.
And just,
dude, we didn't forget about you, bro.
Technicalities said no, so come on back.
Anybody that wants to hop on the show, talk about the best team in lacrosse, come on. We would love to have you on. It'd be so cool.
Absolutely, don't be shy.
That's right. Bandits Roughnecks. We'll run it back. Round 2 in the Saddledome.
Round two.
Let's just
ding.
Let's just go for the TKO on them.
This is why we're the best, boys.
Yeah, Tony's got the friggin' for the audio listener. Tony's holding up the championship belt right now. So when I mentioned TKO, he came in with the actual prop. So he knows what's up. But
hey, guys, also I'd like to thank a shout out to TrophySmack.com for making this championship belt. Customizes all your championship needs. If you also want to check out for rings, trophies, banners, and championship material belts like this, go on their website at TrophySmack.com.
TrophySmack.com. Yeah. Hey, reach out for another sponsor. Why not? Trophy Smack. Come on, sponsor us.
I got to call them and find out if we can do that. But I'm just doing that because I customized the Bandit belt. So
give us some free belts. Only.
So
yeah. That'll be nice. Give us some perks there. But hey, we got round 2 coming up. Doesn't matter how I feel going into it. It just matters what the Bandits how the Bandits play tomorrow night, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be a good one. I'll be producing it over at 1520. So I'll be talking to Gertler throughout the whole game, and we'll be talking to each other off the ledge when times get tough in that game. But we got 3 words to leave you with at the end of this episode. And what are those 3 words?
Here we go, boys. In 3, 2, 1. Let's go, Bandits!
Let's go.
Champs for a reason. Go prove it.
Rosie.
You suck.